Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing details. Today, we are discussing a lovely 40mm pink gold Glashütte Original Senator Perpetual calendar. At 40 millimeters in diameter, this watch, which was sold back in 2010, has a 12.9 millimeter thickness, so it's actually thinner than it looks, and it's just 47.5 millimeters from lug to lug, with a 19 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and it wears well. I'd recommend it for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference, and though it's not super thin, nor is it super thick, it does feature a slightly concave sloped bezel, so it should slide underneath the dress cuff. Taking a look at it down the barrel, you can see I've got a little bit of clearance on each side. The lugs are nowhere near the edge of my wrist. A shot over the top confirms this. The strap is substantial. You can see on the bottom, it's a brand new Glashütte Original factory strap, black calfskin on the bottom, no crimping, no gouging, large rectangular scale alligator leather on the top, matte finish. There's a little bit of bolstering or stuffing to give it volume. It features a broad folded edge and a monotone stitch, and I would say it's a semi-gloss to matte finish. We have here a folding clasp of extraordinary gauge. This is very thick metal here. You can see a combination of polished and media blasted solid gold, plus the use of ceramic pin snaps, so that over time, the snappy tolerance of this closure will be preserved no matter how many times you operate it, because the gold cannot aggress against the ceramic. Taking a quick look, you can see that there is a twin trigger release, so you have to press both of those triggers to open this up, so it's not going to pop open. BRO, you can see this was probably made by Ticino-based Brogioli, which has been a supplier of clasps and bracelets to Gio for a long time. And the twin trigger release feels meaty, almost like what you'd find on a sports watch. This is going to stay closed until you want it to open. Externally, we have a combination of satin and polish that makes for a delightful contrast. The case, however, is all polished. It's got that dress watch look. You can see that the module is clearly atop the base movement, as the center line of the crown is far lower than the pushers of the calendar. We actually have a little pusher below one of the calendar adjusters, and when you hit that one with the tool that comes with the watch, it actually zero resets the seconds hand. So as soon as you set the time correctly, you zero reset, and now you've synchronized to a reference time. The bezel, like the rest of the case, is of high polish. It has a slight flange, but it's mostly rounded and somewhat concave. It's designed to visually pare down the apparent mass of the watch. The lugs are not welded on, but they do feature a distinct break with the case band that gives them their own sculptural presence, and there's a very subtle rounding or beveling on the edges of the lugs. The dial is a sort of opaline or light satin non-directional matte finish. We have facets for all of the indications of the calendar, save the leap year cycle. Actually, these little facets help to ease the transition from the dial down to the discs that display the calendar system. So what you're actually looking at is a more even and gradual transition than if, for example, the day, the double-digit date, and the month were just cut sheer straight down from the dial to the discs. All of the adjustments to the calendar are done with the pushers. The adjustment of the time is done with the crown, and you can see that the watch does not feature traditional hacking seconds. You use the flyback system to synchronize. What is surprising to me, though, is that the watch is actually quite well loomed. It's a dress watch, after all, but you'll be able to tell roughly the time because the obvious position relative to each other of the minute and hour hands. It is a perpetual calendar, so with the double-digit or panorama datum and the other indications, this will actually turn red when we reach the leap year. This doesn't need to be touched until the year 2100. It can deal with irregular length months. It can deal with leap years. It brushes them off so long as the watch keeps running. You will like the fact that they sweated the details. As you can see, these individual hour indices are both solid gold and micro-faceted, which is a wonderful degree of care. lavished on this piece, which is a flagship piece for GO. Flip it over and you can see it features a flagship movement caliber 100. It's the 100-02. It's a twin mainspring barrel automatic with a 55-hour power reserve. The idea there with the twin barrels is, yes, get a little more power reserve, but also even the torque release so it doesn't gallop and run fast when fully wound, and it doesn't lose a ton of balance amplitude after 18, 24, 36 hours. You can also see that the two ratchet wheels atop the barrel have been black polished, as has the cap on the rotor bearing. This beats away at 4 Hertz or 8 beats per second. It's adjusted in 5 positions, which is the high horology and chronometer standard, so a very impressive and exacting adjustment for this watch. The jeweling is heavy, since it is, after all, a modular combination of a base and a perpetual calendar on top, so 59 jewels. It's the modular construction that accounts for that. We have stripes across the rotor as well as the bridges. We have a deep grooved satination on the lips of the bridges. We have a combination of media blasting and satination on the base plate, a black polished swan's neck, black polished stud holder, all the screw heads are black polished, and then we have this lovely solarized reduction wheel finished by hand that sits adjacent to the winding system. The watch is of a high quality inside and out. The finishing is impressive. The execution of the watch is attractive, and it's a welcome alternative to the usual suspects from Lange. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.